Well, good afternoon, Cowboys Nation. How's everyone doing today? Uh, Looking forward to this episode of Starstruck with Mack. Uh, Before I get started on my top 100 countdown, I do want to address some of the news going on with Dallas and the Cowboys. A lot's been said over the last little bit with the social media feud between Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. And a lot of people have got different sides. It seems like Cowboy Nation is kind of siding with Micah Parsons, which is to be expected. Uh, you know, unfortunately, I've always said that, at work that your job's kind of like a marriage. It's a relationship that you enter into with your employer. And being so, when that marriage breaks up, very seldom, a lot of times you hear ex-spouses talk negatively about one another, or there's a reason for the breakup. There's never, it seems like, or minimal parting ways in an amicable situation. Sometimes you're better off as friends than you are husband and wife. But a lot of times we can in one job and we can go on to another one and not have any ill feelings. And sometimes those aren't necessarily the case. Don't know when DeMarcus was sitting there talking to the Seattle media why he decided he needed to take a shot at the Dallas Cowboys. An organization, by the way, that Lawrence, you have made a very, very, very good living working for. At one time, they made you the highest non-paid quarterback in their franchise history. Now, as I recall, when you were going through your contract negotiations, you never gave a hometown discount up until I think the last contract. You never really gave a hometown discount. So when you were in your prime and stuff, you was all about getting your slice of the pie. Because, we always heard, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones always saying there's a pie and, everybody's got a slice. The more I give you this piece of pie, the less that I can give to someone else to build a team around you. I never known you to take a little bit less pie to allow others to obtain better quality players around you. So with that mentality, it is hard to build a Super Bowl team to go around you. So I get that your frustration that you've left and you went to Seattle for more money because Dallas was not going to pay you that, not at this point in your career. You've been compensated handsomely throughout your career while being a part of the organization. And chances are, as several players like Nate Newton, Jesse Holley, Barry Church, and Isaiah Stanback, even ones that have went on to other organizations will learn as they come back around the star, there's opportunities to make money going forward under Jerry's umbrella. So why you saw to burn that bridge, I'll never know. More so, and it's becoming a common theme amongst players across all sports spectrums. We've got Jimmy Butler, and Michael and I talked about this on our way to Matthews the other day. He said that, he goes, Dad, he said, I really want to like Jimmy Butler, but he's making it hard. And I tried to, give him this analogy about, marriages sometimes don't end up well. Being a former, employee of a place, it doesn't necessarily end well because you feel slighted or something like that. But you have to realize that, in this case with like Lawrence, you were compensated throughout your career very well. And understanding that, DeMarcus Lawrence, the fact that you took a shot at your former teammates, guys that you went into battle with on a weekly basis. Having served in the military, I know what it is about. I've not been in a professional locker room in any sports level, and I've not had that chemistry, that camaraderie, but I was in the military, and I knew then that I depended on that person beside me doing the same job or doing another job to make sure that in the event of a war, which I served during the Gulf War time, that I depended on them to come home. They had to do their job in order to help me do my job, and also in order for me to survive and come home and to my family. And you're in the NFL or in a professional sports or any sports team that you're a part of, you're dependent upon that other player to do their job to allow you to have success. Now, the better players around you, the more opportunity there is for success. Well, in a salary cap league, unfortunately, if everybody's taking the bigger chunk or got to have, if their mindset is, well, it's not my problem to solve, it's yours to divide the pie. Well, that limits the ability to have better athletes around you to achieve your overall team goals. Micah Parsons has come out and said this past offseason, he doesn't have to be the highest paid. And I hope that transcends to when he sits down in front of Jerry Jones with that contract. Now, his agent probably went off the deep end when he said that, because the agent's responsibility is, hey, I'll get this player the highest paid contract, my player that I represent. Guess what that does for me? That builds my brand. That builds my business. That shows that, hey, I accomplished this for this player. So when you're sitting there thinking about who you're going to have as an agent, I've got this on my resume that I represented Micah Parsons, and I got him $45 million a year. Highest paid non-quarterback contract in the history of the NFL. That looks good. That looks good for the next player that's coming up and saying, ooh, I need an agent. So, I get that there's so many integral parts in that contract negotiations. But again, DeMarcus Lawrence, you were on record as saying numerous times that it wasn't your responsibility to divide the pie. You weren't taking a pay cut. You were in it for DeMarcus Lawrence the whole way. I get that. So the fact that you're throwing the team under the bus, guys that you went to war with day in and day out, of course they're going to take offense. And I get that, hey, you want to sit there and people have questioned, how Micah should have handled it. One, defend the team. I heard Nate Newton say, yeah, defend the team. I heard Jesse Colley say, rise above. And then Jesse pointed out, that one of the funny things with him about the Twitter war or the social media war was the comments of the fans and how they were like, Mike Lawrence, and just dissing him and cussing him. And he couldn't understand because those guys the fans were never in the locker room. Well, I hope I can bring some light on that for you there, Jesse. I love you, by the way. I love you listening to you on Hanging with the Boys and your other content on the mothership. But here's the thing. As a Dallas Cowboy fan, and I don't remember a time when I wasn't a Dallas Cowboy fan. Over the years, now, I don't have stock in the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, they don't sell stock. Jerry's not giving that up. But throughout my childhood, just like these guys that I'm going to be listing here in a second, throughout my childhood, watching them grow up, I became emotionally invested in not only the player, not only the team, but their success, their failures. Whether it was 1 in 15, we beat the Redskins that year. God bless us. And it was Steve Walsh that was quarterback, and it wasn't even Troy Aikman in '89 that did that victory. So Aikman went 0 for whatever that year. He did lead us to 3 Super Bowl victories later on in his career. In 89, I was stationed overseas. And at that time, Dallas not being a good team, we had one one TV station, AFN Network, and they did not play the Dallas Cowboys. So my mom would sit there and she would record the games locally on VHS tapes, and she would send them to me along with my Dallas Cowboy Weekly magazine. I would read it cover to cover. I would watch every game every minute. I do not get up from a Dallas Cowboy game. If they're losing, they're winning, or whatever, I stay for the duration of the game because it's like I said during Dad and the Boys on previous episodes, every week that Dallas plays, I've got a limited number of 3-hour windows to watch them play in my lifetime during their season. Whether they're winning or they're losing, I'm going to sit and watch every minute of it, and I'm going to cherish it. I'm going to cheer the good times, and I'm going to weep through the bad times. I've spent days, hours, multiple conversations with family and friends, whether they're either dissing the Dallas Cowboys or they're either helping me celebrating our achievements. And I say "are" because you know what? I am emotionally invested in the Dallas Cowboys. You know, when the heart surgeon opens up my heart and he looks in there or the corner and he's going to see a stamped star on there, I'm convinced. You know, because it's been branded in me for, I'm 55. Well, now I'm 56. I just turned 56 this past week, but it's been branded in there for 54 years. Because I became a Dallas Cowboy fan at age 2. I will never be anything other than a Dallas Cowboy fan. Anybody that knows me in the walk of life knows that I love the Dallas Cowboys. You know, I've often tell my kids, I'm like, God, family, Dallas Cowboys, and my Harley. Now, I won't tell you which order it is, but I will tell you this. I can tell you who I love the longest. And that is the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't know God at 2. I didn't know the family that I've got right now at 2. My parents are gone. They passed on. I knew them at 2, but they're gone. And I still love them. But that love for the Dallas Cowboys, it's grown every year. Whether it's a good year, a bad year, whether it's the drought that everybody talks about, the drought that we're having right now, And I tell my son, I'm like, look, everybody says that we haven't won or been to the NFC Championship game. Well, first of all, I don't want to go to the NFC Championship game unless I can go to the Super Bowl. And I don't want to go to the Super Bowl unless I can win it. Because I remember losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers as a kid. Those sucked. Bar none, some of the worst days of my life were watching my Cowboys, my Dallas Cowboys, lose in the Super Bowl. I can't imagine what the Bills fans went through. And they did it 4 years straight. Compliments of our Cowboys for 2 of those. So when you take a shot at the Cowboys as a former player, it hurts. I mean, you're dissing the guys that you went to war with week in and week out. You're dissing the guys that you sat on the practice field day in and day out and with, in the weight room, in the locker room. You're dissing the organization that took him, provided for you and your family. You're also dissing the fan that supported you, that cheered you on every week, that cared about you deeply, that followed you on social media, that did this, that bought your merchandise, bought the tickets. That's like when we go to a wrestling event, I tell everybody, I'm like, point blank, without the fans, they don't have a job. If for all of a sudden there wasn't these podcasts, nobody was talking about the Dallas Cowboys, and nobody was talking about the NFL, nobody was attending games, nobody was watching them on TV. Guess what? You can be outside and throw a football all day long and not get a dime for it. And trust me, there is not a job working 9 to 5, DeMarcus Lawrence, that you can get making the kind of money that you made being a Dallas Cowboy. I promise you. So when you're dissing on those guys and you're saying that you'll never win a Super Bowl there, you haven't won a Super Bowl there. Part of the reason being you had your piece of the pie and let them worry about how to divide it up. But you're going to get your chunk. Well, there's a reason Tom Brady's the greatest. One, when he was in New England, he took less because he knew that the better they could put talent around him and use that money to build a championship team around him, the more accolades he would get, more Super Bowl victories he could potentially have. It boils down to that. You got to make sacrifices in life to have success. You sacrifice the time, you sacrifice your effort, your lifestyle to have that success on the field. Sometimes you got to sacrifice your wallet to have success and allow them to build a team around you. Okay, so they're telling me that I've got to take a quick commercial break to allow time for our sponsors. Thank you for watching us on Fans First Sports Network or listening to us on Fans First Sports Network and watching for us on Boom Broadcasting. We'll be right back after this moment. Welcome back, Cowboys Nation. You're listening to Starstruck on Fans First Sports Network. And for those watching us on Boom Broadcasting, thank you for being a part of Starstruck with Mack. Okay, so now I went off my tirade. Dallas has had some great signings this off season, a lot more activity than they've had. We'll address that on Dad and the Boys, I'm sure. But I want to go ahead and get into our next 5 individuals to achieve the top 100 listing. And I'm going to start with one that Marion Barber. How fitting. Marion, I wish you were in this draft, my friend. We could use you. May you rest in peace. When Marion the Beast Barber came rushing through that backfield, his career in Dallas was short. His career overall was short. But he was a beast. His nickname, the Beast, is so fitting because Marion Barber was a highlight reel. He would run you over. He'd rather run you over than run around you. I'm hoping that we can pick up a running back in this draft that reminds me of you, that can allow me to cheer. Because, although we didn't achieve the success that we would have in previous iterations of the Cowboys, you was so fun to watch. I remember waking up that afternoon, that day, and hearing that you had passed, and it hurt. I shed a tear. Because I just think of all the good memories that you provided for me. As an adult, a lot of these guys that are on my top 100 are guys that I took and grew up watching. My kids grew up watching you. We got one of the things that we bought was, you can get these coolers, little insulated coolers to take your lunch and stuff in. These 2 of them bought in my house. One, Tony Romo, and Marion Barber. Marion, you were the beast, man. You had a short career. Again, you had a short stay in Dallas, but you brought so much excitement. And we knew that when you handled the ball, it was going to take more than one person to bring you down. And if you had the opportunity, you would run over them. You wouldn't run around them. And you could just tell it. You can even see it in the picture on the screen in his face. He's like, hey, I got this. 3rd one, not a problem. I got this. Give it to me, right, coach. Give it to me. And you knew that he was going to give it his all day in, day out. He never, to my recollection, ever took a play off. I mean, if he was on the field, he was 100% go. And that's what you want to see out of a player. You don't want to see him making business decisions. He never made a business decision. His was all about the game, his love for the game. Unfortunately, Marion left us way too soon in this world. And for his family, he is number 55. I'm sure he's number 1 on your list, but he's number 55 on my top 100. And his place is cemented. I mean, you know, he'll always be there. And I appreciate the effort that he gave on the field, the memories that he provided for me, and they'll be cherished for a lifetime. So knowing that we got to get on with it from our first segment, we're going to move on to number 54, and that is Leroy Glover. Whew. Man, what do you say about Leroy Glover? One of the most talented defensive tackles to ever grace the field as a Dallas Cowboy. Undersized, but still play it and succeed no matter where you put him on the field. I mean, he was signed from the New Orleans Saints. He had talk about short career in Dallas. Look at that, 2002 to 2005. But his intensity, his level of dominance on the field was simply amazing. When we were running 3-4, 4-3, it did not matter. Leroy Glover was a beast. Again, using the same words as Marion, but Leroy Glover took him all pro and shouldn't have been. He was playing out of position. I mean, you know, he was covering the needs for the team. He should have been actually on the outside playing instead of the inside based on his stature as far as his height and weight. Yet he sacrificed for the team. Again, sacrifice his body to help build a winner. And he was consistently giving his all. He's all pros, Pro Bowls. Fun to watch. I mean, you know, chances are if it was a sack or a tackle for a loss, it was Leroy Glover, or somebody but got it because of Leroy Glover. You know, sometimes just disrupting that middle of the offensive line allowed others to succeed. And he did that consistently. Just like Marion Barber, who ran hard. Leroy Glover was the guy that would stop the opposing team on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 4th and 1. He was the guy giving that penetration up the middle to stop them. And he brought the memories there, and he reminded me of the childhood number 54, Randy White. You know, growing up, the guys like Randy White, Harvey Martin, Ed Too Tall Jones, the guys that made the doomsday defense, and he was there, and he just kept pushing. So I mean, it's amazing. Now the next one on our list, number 53. Well, as you can see, he became a Cowboy the year I was born. So looking there, you see, you know, I was born in 69. He had a short career with Dallas as a tight end. But that was as a player. He came back and helped coach under Coach Tom Landry for a while as well. But Mike Ditka, I mean, how can you not like Mike Ditka? You know, the Bears, the Saints. His greatest accomplishment probably is with the Bears. I mean, being a Hall of Fame coach, leading the Bears back to their glory in 85, with Refrigerator Perry and Walter Payton, giving Walter Payton his one and only Super Bowl victory, you know, and leading that team, you know. So, I mean, Coach Ditka was intense. But even though he was a great coach, his talent on the field was there too. He was one of the first ones I rooted for, him and Roger. So, I mean, getting to see them growing up and at an early age helped solidify my fandom that has now reached 50, close to 55 years and still going. And as long as God allows me to have breath in this body, it will continue to go. So again, I do thank you, Coach Dicka, for the effort, the time, not only on the field, but also on the sidelines as an assistant coach under Coach Tom Landry, before you chose to jump out on your own and go and coach the Bears and then later the Saints and have success there. You'll always be a part of Cowboys Nation. And we thank you, and thank you for the memories. Thank you for allowing us to watch you on the field, allowing you for your assistance in building America's team. That way we could sustain success through the 70s. Now the 80s, we kind of, you jumped ship at the right time because we kind of went down a little bit, but we came back, and that's perfectly fine. Now, I got to say the next guy, if you look at that, you'll go, well, wait, how is he one of your favorite Cowboys? Well, I mean, it's Don Meredith. Dandy Don Meredith built a legacy in there. And he took in, my most memories is watching videos of him playing. So I wasn't around for his playing career, obviously. That was just his career ended right before my life began. But the legacy that he left behind for guys like Staubach, for Troy, for Tony, for Dak, as being a good to great Dallas Cowboy quarterback, goes on forever. And, my biggest memory of Dandy Don was sitting there, Monday night footballs, watching the Cowboys, and hearing Don toward about the end of the midway through the fourth quarter, toward the end of the fourth quarter, the game's getting a little out of hand. Him saying, "Turn out the lights, the party's over," and it was always him. And my dad, growing up, Monday, you have to understand, he liked Don Meredith. Of course, he was a Cowboy. Hated Howard Cosell. Hated him. Absolutely hated him. So I got to listen to him. But like I tell my son, those are the memories I have. In our lifetime, me and my son will create memories that, whether it be going to Matthews together, whether it be going to wrestling shows together, going to ball games together, sitting down and watching ball games, whatever the case may be, other things that we'll have throughout our lifetime, road trips, stuff like that, vacations, just spending time together that will build memories with each of my children. This is a memory that I have of my dad. And like I said earlier, my dad's been gone since 97. So, I mean, it's been a while. 28 years, half my life. Dad's been gone, but he hasn't been gone. He went to be with the Lord at that time, but he left behind memories for me that I cherish. And one of those was listening to him sing with Dandy Don, "Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say it all. Good things must end." Well, we got one more on the show for you. It might have popped up a little bit, so you might have a little sneak peek earlier if you caught that. But Dan, thank you for the memories. Thank you for the memories of my dad singing "Turn Out the Lights" with you as we beginning to celebrate Dallas Cowboy victories, hopefully. Hopefully it wasn't the other way, that we were turning out the lights because it sucked. But those were great memories. And you see, and that's the thing about the top 100 is it's memories. It's guys that have moved up and stuff. Now, moving to number 51, Roy Williams. If I've got one memory of Roy Williams, one memory, the kid from Oklahoma, go Sooners, was his rookie year, was the first year that Emmett took and left and went to Arizona. And Dallas played Arizona that year in Dallas, and I hated to see Emmett leave. And I know that, sometimes you got to let stars go. And I hated to see Emmett leave. But Emmett left with class. Emmett didn't trash the Cowboys. He didn't trash the owners. He didn't trash his teammates. That's a lesson for the young guys that are out there playing now. When you leave, realize you may have bad feelings about the way ownership dealt with you. I'm sure that Cooper Rush probably does. I mean, they set him down last year for that last game, and he could have achieved a bonus. They cost him money. Now, generally speaking, Jerry typically would pay that. I don't know if he did or not. I haven't seen any reports that he did. I haven't seen any reports that he didn't. Only him and Cooper Rush know that definitely, besides the accountants and stuff. But I don't think it was out of malice to take in and not pay him that bonus for achieving milestones in his in incentives in his contract. I think it was more to see what they had in Trey Lance. As you know, we're needing a backup quarterback, so hopefully they'll get that resolved, whether that be bring Lance back or what, or draft a kid that they're going to develop in the draft. But Emmitt Smith left and went to the Cardinals to end his career, our all-time leading rusher, all-time NFL leading rusher. And he left with class, but he came back to Dallas. And I mean, I love Emmett. His name hasn't been divulged yet. He is still in the top 100, rest assured. And I love Emmitt Smith. But I was so worried. I was like, man, Emmett is going to, I know he's getting older and stuff, but he is going to unleash on my Cowboys, and they're going to just drill us. He's going to have 4 touchdowns today, is what I'm thinking in my mind. I'm like, oh my God, this man's going to go off on us. And we're going to miss him even more. I get that you wanted to keep, I think it was Hambrick or somebody, Tony Agee or something like that, but man, we should have kept him. Not just so he didn't play in this game against us. And I was sitting there going, he's going to go off. He's going to go off. He's going to go off. Just like, hey, we didn't draft Randy Moss. We took the safe route. We got Greg Ellis, and I love Greg Ellis. But guess what? Every time we played Randy Moss, hang it up. Randy's dropping a couple hundred yards on us in multiple touchdown games. He just lit up when he came to Dallas or played against Dallas. Every time it seemed like. And I was sitting here going, man, Emmett's going to go off. The rookie year, Roy Williams, he tackles Emmett, and Emmett gets hurt. I don't want to see Emmett hurt, but Emmett didn't play the rest of the game. So he didn't get the opportunity to go off on us. That's the one memory I'll always have of Roy Williams, how violently he attacked the opposing team. He was a monster. He played with extreme aggression. And he gave it all on the field. Now, was he the most talented player ever to grace the backfield of the Dallas Cowboys as a defensive back? No. But you knew that when he was on there and when he was getting ready to hit you, that Roy Williams was going to unleash. And he put the fear of God into people. They did not want to come across the middle. They did not want to run it up around where Roy Williams was. He was going to hit. And it was going to hurt. And that was a given. And so Roy Williams kind of gave that new set of what I wanted to see in a safety. I don't know that we've got that on this team right now. If anything, maybe Donovan Wilson is. I don't know if he's still going to be here this year. Right now, he is on the team. I mean, he is a hitter, but I don't know that we've got that guy. I don't know that we got that kind of person. But there again, we haven't invested in a safety like we did. I mean, Roy Williams was a first-round draft pick. We don't have Cliff Harris. We don't have Charlie Waters. I'd love to see Roy Williams or a current version of Roy Williams trolling the backfield for back into the defense for the Dallas Cowboys. It would be a blessing. Again, he was an amazing talent. His career, being that violent, and you saw that with like Marion Barber. I mean, when you play this game as hard as these guys did, and as violently as they did, your career is going to be short. But those are the guys that you cherish, because even though their candle burns bright, but it burns so short because of the way they play, you knew that you cheered for everything they did because you knew they were giving their all, that they were not holding anything in reserve. It was not a business decision. It was not about longevity. It was about going out, doing everything you could and leaving it all out there. It's kind of like watching a wrestler when they're up there in the ring and they're making moves that you never thought was possible. And you know that their body is going to fail them at some point, that their career is going to be shortened. Because even though it is wrestling scripted, the stuff they do is real. I mean, the falling, the bumps, the bruises, the landings, gravity is real, folks. And and jumping off the top turnbuckle, we're going to hit the floor of the mat, one or the other, so whichever one you're going to hit, it's going to hurt. It's going to be there. It's solid. These guys, they did it on the football field against other human beings. Most of them bigger than they were, and they did it without relent. I mean, they were 100 miles an hour, no in-betweens. And that endears them to a fan like me. When I'm sitting here giving my all as a fan, and I feel every heartache with a loss. I feel every celebration with a victory, and then I see them having fun or them playing like that. It endears them to me. And as you see, and hopefully you recognize through this countdown that I'm doing, as we've reached through our bottom 50. Next week we'll crack, on the next episode we'll crack the top 50. As you see that, these are guys, most of them are not playing still, but they've endeared themselves to me, and the memories that they've given me throughout the lifetime that I have. Some of it related to my family, some of it like Don Meredith, with my dad singing "Turn Out the Lights, Party's Over" with Don at the end of the Monday Night Football game. The watching the videos of him, the clips, hearing my dad talk about him, stuff like that, the stories. It's left an impression that, 54 years later, that still lives on. Stuff that my kids will hear. Unfortunately, none of my kids were around when Dallas won the Super Bowl. They didn't get to see Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin connect on the football field in live. Now, they've watched clips of it and stuff, and they've heard the stories about how Emmett ran against the New York Giants in the championship, or to get the NFC East, to give us the overall number one seed, stuff like that. They've heard about that with a separated shoulder, but they never got to live it live. And so those are memories that they'll have, but they won't have memories of watching it live. And some of these I didn't. but it's 54 years later and counting. And I have no doubts that, Michael and Hunter will both be Dallas Cowboy fans for a lifetime, and they'll pass that along to their families. My youngest daughter right now, she ain't into sports at all, hardly. She watches wrestling with us, but that's pretty much it, extent of that. But she knows that, how much joy the Dallas Cowboys has brought to me in my life. And she sees that, her brothers are into it, that they care, the memorabilia on the walls, she's inundated with that. So, sports brings people together, brings families together, gives them opportunity to share, spend time together. And that's the biggest thing. If you're a dad out there listening, and that's like the reason that, I'm blessed that my son is doing this journey with Boom Broadcasting and Fans First Sports Network and all the stuff he's involved in, is it's giving me an opportunity to do this as well. Not that this is a passion of mine. Now, the Dallas Cowboys isn't a passion. I could talk Dallas Cowboys all day long. Either that or my Harley, either one. We can talk all day long. Just hit me up. So it boils down to this, at some point I'm going to go home to meet my maker. And I tell my kids, at 56, I know that there's more days in the rearview mirror than they are in the windshield. And this will be something that my kids can go back and watch and see their daddy, see the passion that he has about the Dallas Cowboys. Also, it gives me a time that I can spend down with like dad and the boys and just sitting there talking with my son, spending time with him. And if you're a parent out there or you're, in any kind of relationship, the greatest thing you've got to give is time. It's not presents. It's not money. It's your time. Because that's giving of yourself. Heard it said, as we was reading the Bible, that, no greater, I know I'm paraphrasing, but the greatest love you can give another person is be willing to give your life for them. And part of that could be, just giving them the time. And I never thought of it like that, but it really is. If you think about it, time's something that you'll never get back. And for you to be willing to sacrifice your time, whether it be listening to this show like you have, or listening to Boom Broadcasting shows like you have, and we appreciate your support, or just being there for your family, your friends, giving them your time. What a sacrifice, because you'll never get that moment back in time. And hopefully, as far as we go at Boom Broadcasting and Fans First Sports Network, that time that you sacrifice, that we make it well worth your while. Knowing that I will hit the top number 50 through 46 next episode, and I'm looking forward to that. And by the way, just in case you're wondering, I don't know, I can't recall exactly where DeMarcus Lawrence fell in the 100, but by rest assured, DeMarcus Lawrence, you are moving down. I know that don't mean anything to you, but it does to me, and I hate that. I hate that you chose to diss on my Cowboys. And you're right, you won't win a Super Bowl with us because you're no longer with us. You're no longer here. You're not part of our team. And I say our team because I'm invested. I want to sign off by saying this. Thank you for being a part of the Cowboys Nation. Thank you for giving your time and support to our endeavor here at Boom Broadcasting and Fans for Sports Network, and for Mack Davis, myself, and Boom Broadcasting. Signing off from Starstruck this week, and I look forward to our next episode, and I'll see you then. Thank you, and you have a blessed day.